What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Anything Box. Once again, big thank you to Herman, and we're returning to Peace 1990. Hello, Luca. And as I've mentioned, as I've gone through this album, we're doing it a bit out of order because I've been downloading the tracks individually, and ultimately they're listed differently than their actual title name. So, in any case, I've been jumping around, and the next track we're going to listen to, not necessarily the next one in the track order, is Lady in Waiting. This is a phrase I've seen used a few different ways, but historically, classically, I think it refers to a noblewoman who is a assistant or secretary, not technically a servant, I think that's a crucial distinction, but for a woman of even greater nobility, someone who is either kept as a retainer or is serving in a more, or not serving, but is assisting more in terms of fealty, but yes, someone who attends to a royal or noble young woman and is made sure, and who makes sure that things are going well for her and that she has everything in order. So I've also seen it used in more recent times as like a woman who's like adjacent to a crime, like a getaway driver. She's a lady in waiting, but she's not actually one of the perpetrators. So I feel like there could be more modern renderings of the term that come into relevance, but my expectation is that it would be built off of the classical concept, someone who is an assistant and a close confidant to a woman of royalty or nobility. So, as to how that might be relevant, I have no idea. Again, it's not exactly a single word title, but it is, in essence, a single term, so it's almost as opaque as a single word title, so I'll see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is Anything Box. The track is Lady in Waiting, and it's from their 1990 album, Peace.
Hurry into the dark room and try to forget the words. They seep into your head. The rules are broken tonight. They can't haunt you anymore tonight. Silver platter, how hard I found the words, and still I carry the hurts. It was too hard to see, and it drove inside of me. I can't stand to bear the swords, I can't stand you anymore. Since the night I left you, since the night I shared all of my emotions, all the pain I felt. Since the night I left you, since the night I shared all of my emotions, my lady. Since the night I left you, since the night I shared all of my emotions, emotions, my lady in waiting.
Oh yeah.
Since the night I shed all of my emotions, my lady in waiting.
That's great. I really enjoyed that. So sonically, I like all the different keyboard runs, and especially right at the end there, that mixture of the true piano line with the more, I don't know, electronic harpsichord sounding supporting line. I really thought that was a nice blend. Overall, it's the kind of tune sonically that I wouldn't be surprised to hear Andy Bell's voice on. It sounds like it could be an Erasure tune. I really do love that moment when the true piano, which I suspect was still actually an electronic keyboard, maybe it was actual piano, but I would suspect it was more like a true piano kit on a keyboard. But when that came in, it was really great. I like all the melody up to that point. I was feeling, I was enjoying, but something about that true piano coming in at that juncture was an especially nice sonic moment. I like the smoothness to the tune. It had a simplicity to it. It wasn't overly elaborate or dense sonically. It just had a light airiness to it, a bit of a wistful remembrance and melancholy, which seems to fit with what I got sonically. Although it's funny, that line about the night that at first I thought it was checked my emotions, then I thought it was shared my emotions, but I think it's shed, as in like shed your skin or shed something that you're no longer using. And so if it is about him leaving this person that he can't stand anymore, that he doesn't want to be with anymore, it's the night he left, shed his emotions, shed all of that baggage, and perhaps moved out on his own, or at least away from the person in question. So Lady in Waiting, I'm not quite sure how the phrase is being used. Maybe it's someone who was always there, always attending to him, always part of his life, but eventually there was tension, there was dissonance between the two, and the pain was too much to bear. So he decided to get rid of all that, and by extension, to leave the presence of the person. But I still don't quite know how the title phrase is being used or how it's relevant. Nevertheless, it sounds like a sad song. It sounds like a song where a person reached a limit, a threshold, that they just couldn't tolerate the pain anymore, and thus had to sever the connection. But it sounds like something that they wouldn't have originally wanted to do, that originally this was supposed to be a better connection, a better relationship, a better set of emotions associated with this other person. I did remember that Herman had said, like, in terms of vocals, there's a lead male and a lead female on different songs, and this one I do believe you hear both of them, including at a couple points in conjunction, so yeah, definitely a good song to have both a male and a female vocal on, like conceptually, at least as far as I picked up the lyrics. So yeah, a sweet song, a sad song, a very soft and, what's the right word? I was going to say elegant. That's not quite the word I'm looking for. A tender song is, I guess, the word I'm looking to describe or to use in description. So yeah, again, I'm enjoying their work, and ultimately the vocals didn't get crazy scratchy like I've mentioned on a couple others. I felt the pain still most clearly of all, where the male lead will get a bit of wicked sort of scratch, like you can just feel him burning, like the emotions burning in his delivery. It wasn't quite like that here, but there were a couple moments where the vocals really became forceful relative to the other sonics. They kind of stood out in front of the other sonics, and I did enjoy those moments as well. What do you think, Luca? Are you ready to get up? Because your moment's coming, so bear with me. But yeah, as I said, I'm enjoying this group. It does, as I've said, maybe every reaction so far, it seems like a culmination of the 80s in a very early 90s release. Again, 1990, I've talked about this concept before. As a historian, we tend to think of time in nice, discrete, uniform blocks, like the 80s, the 90s, or the 1900s, the 1800s, and so on. But the reality is, 1888 was a lot more similar to 1901 than 1888 was to 1801. And so it is with decades. Something that's made in 1990 is going to bear a lot of hallmarks of the decade that preceded it, and may sound less like things that come in the same decade, technically speaking, like from 97, 98, or 99. And I'm thinking now of Mozart, where Mozart came at the end of the phase of Western classical music that is referred to as the classical period, following the Baroque period, preceding the Romantic period. And a lot of people point out that Mozart sort of took everything that had developed in the classical era and expressed it more clearly and more elegantly, better than many of the other, or indeed most of the other composers from the classical period did. And it was because he came near the end of the classical period, and of course because he was immensely talented and a genius. So ultimately, in the same way that Mozart encapsulated a lot of what had come before him, I feel like this album and the songs on it, they speak to the 80s synth pop style, even if it's technically in 1990s. So that's probably the most elaborately I've made that point, but I promise at some point with Anything Box I will stop making that comment. Nevertheless, Luca, it is time to get up, so hopefully you enjoyed your stay here at Lab Shnootz. Do let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.